I had a really pivotal moment in my own business and in my own mindset a couple weeks ago with my coach. And I was talking to him and I was just sharing some of my frustrations, that business wasn't going perfectly for me. Anyone else on this call have business that's not going perfectly right now? Give me a virtual hand up in the chat box. I was sharing that I'm sort of feeling the proverbial business punch to the face. And I said to him, I said, I always thought that like when you grew your business in real estate and you grew a really big business and you raised your hand and said, I'm going to do the hard things, like eventually you did it for long enough that you just sort of got to the promised land where like you were exempt from having to deal with any of the hard stuff anymore. And eventually you got to walk through the golden gates of real estate and they gave you a pat on the back and said like, okay, you did all the hard stuff. Good job. You don't need to do these hard things anymore. And I said, like I just thought that one day I would be exempt from things sucking, basically. And like maybe I just got to finally unlock this level of real estate, and then all the limiting beliefs would go away and success would be easy and I wouldn't have any problems anymore. And I'm sort of pontificating on this to my coach who's laughing at me. And I said, at this point in my business, I sort of feel like some days I'm trying to steer a cruise ship with a baseball bat. And like, it just doesn't feel good. Like things are not going well, coach. And he said, are you done? And I said, you know what? I'm not done because I'm a salesperson like all of you. And I said, frankly, things are just really hard. And I was giving him all of the reasons that I just wasn't fulfilling my potential. All of the reasons I was prepping myself for all the reasons that I wouldn't be able to do what I promised myself, my organization, my people, I set out to do. I was sort of selling why these things aren't happening now and were going to happen in the future. And I was just really, when I look back on it, I was just advocating for all of the limiting beliefs that were popping into my head, as they do when life and when business gets hard, because that's what happens. Our limiting beliefs when life gets hard start to get even louder. And so he just let me talk for a minute, and he was listening to me like a good coach does. And then he was just quiet, and we just sat there staring at each other for a while. And finally, I broke first, and I said, like, are you going to say anything? You're going to yell at me? You're going to motivate me? Like, what are we going to do here? And he said, I'm just waiting for you to decide. And I said, decide what? And he said, I'm just waiting for you to decide to let the lion out of the cage. Call me back when you do. And he hung up. And I sat there off the phone for a second and thought to myself two things. Number one, this coach is very expensive. So I don't know if I'm going to be reimbursed for like the 20 minutes that we were only on the call for about 10 minutes of me complaining. And I don't know that I'm getting reimbursed for the 20 minutes that we missed, firstly. And secondly, I don't know what that means. Like I have no idea what my coach just told me. And then he hung up, and I knew at that point, knowing him as I do, that I wouldn't be getting a call back until I figured it out. Well, I didn't figure it out. I didn't really know what that meant. And so I did the only logical thing that I could think of, which was that weekend I took my daughter to the zoo, and we checked out all the animals. And of course we had to, stop by the lion exhibit. This is sort of running in the back of my head. And I listened to the zookeeper talk about the lions. They were sort of doing like a tour for everybody, and they were talking about, their behavior. And they talked about the fact that in the wild, lions won't sleep as much as they do in captivity. In captivity, they'll sleep anywhere from 20 to 22 hours a day. By the way, I have a toddler, so that's like a sleep schedule I could get on board with. So they're just talking about how uniquely when lions are in captivity, they sleep this much. And then as everyone sort of moved on with the tour, I saw one of the lions, she got up from the place that she was sleeping. And I just started to watch her sort of prowl around. She got up from that platform she was sleeping on, and I saw her muscles rippling, and I watched her sort of walk towards us. And at one point I made eye contact with her, and I just locked eyes with her for a minute. And I thought to myself, I wonder if she ever longs to run wild. Like, I wonder if she ever gets up and thinks to herself, with all these people staring in at the cage, I'm just not meant to be in here. I'm a lion. And then I pictured it in the wild, what it would look like for a lion to run wild. She stalks her prey, attacking and killing at will, and then goes in search of her next conquest, because that's what her lion instincts tell her to do. And we don't judge her, and we're not mad at her, because she's just being a lion. Now lock her up in a cage, and she'll lie there all day, quiet, lethargic, and well-fed. What happened to those lion instincts? They're still there, just deep inside, waiting to be uncaged. And if you put her out in the wild, she'll go lion again, preying and attacking. Put her back in the cage and she'll lie down. And I thought to myself, man, I think people are a lot like the lion in the cage. Quiet, tame, docile, waiting for something to happen in their lives. But our cage isn't made of bars and glass. Our cage is made of bad advice, low self-esteem, rules, torturous thinking about what we are and are not capable of, and all of these limiting beliefs that we say to ourselves on replay over and over and over again. They're molded around us by a lifetime of overthinking, overanalyzing, and worry about what might go wrong. And if you stay in that cage long enough, you'll forget your basic instincts. You'll forget that you're a lion. And so I called my coach after that and I said, I got it. I think I got it. You see, I've coached thousands of agents and successful business owners at this point, and I've come to understand one basic principle of success. It's not who you are that holds you back. It's who you think you are not. And it's not what you're capable of that holds you back. It's what you believe to be impossible simply because you haven't seen it done before. What do you believe to be impossible simply because you haven't seen it done before? Because you've been living in a cage for so long that you forgot what you're capable of when you run wild. And by the way, in the real estate business right now, that could be all of the limiting beliefs of everybody around us. The talk about the market, the talk about the economy, the talk about interest rates, inventory, whatever it is for you. But by the way, I can name countless businesses that have been built in this same economy. Countless real estate businesses that have taken territory when the market was hard. You can too, Chris. And so we have to ask ourselves, are these real? Or have I just made a decision to stay in the cage? So when I was thinking about what I could talk to you about today, what would really make an impact for you, I thought to myself, well, a good coach, a good leader will open the door to the cage and they'll tell you to get out, right? A great coach, a great leader will teach you that you never belonged in there in the first place and will teach you how to get out yourself. And by the way, I want you guys to hear that nobody's exempt from this. All the people that you admire in real estate and business, whatever it is, all those people that you admire who think that they wake up and they drink gasoline and they wake up and they're on fire, none of them are exempt. Absolutely none. All of them have these things that play in their mind, these challenges that they face, these limiting beliefs that come up. And yet, they make a decision to work through them. They make a decision to run wild. They make a decision to follow those basic instincts anyway. So I want you guys to hear that nobody is exempt from this. And we can't solve our problems with the same thinking that we use to create them.